have Megan Hillschneider and Denise Mellon. Megan is the Senior Client Services Manager at Tatari, and Denise is the Senior Growth Manager at Knix. And I'll pass it on to you guys.
Yeah, amazing. Hey, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We are going to talk about how Knix uses TV ads to drive their full funnel performance. So to start, we'll just give you a little bit of an intro to each of our companies. So Tatari is a platform for buying and measuring TV ads across both linear and streaming TV. We've really worked tirelessly over the last 7 years to make TV advertising as digital-like as possible. So we measure it, we give you results in real time, and we give you the ability to manage those campaigns based on those results. And our clients, our brands, have the opportunity to buy their TV media in-house or to work with our optional managed service team, like Knix does, where we work on a week-to-week basis to strategize and optimize the campaigns. We work with over 200 brands across many different verticals and different stages of growth, as you can maybe see. And then we also work with agencies who license our platform. Can you tell us a little bit about Knix?
Sure. So Knix is a direct-to-consumer intimates and apparel brand through innovative products like period underwear, wireless bras that actually support, and a community-first based approach. We're on a mission to empower people everywhere to live unapologetically free. So whether that's a product, a campaign, an image that we produce, it's really tied to our mission and embedded in our DNA from day one. Day one being 2013. So we were just hit 10 years, which is crazy. We were founded by Joanna Griffiths, and we're one of the fastest growing DTC brands in North America, and we're globally recognized as an innovator and disruptor in the apparel space.
Amazing. And can you talk a little bit about your marketing mix prior to TV and then how and why you got started with Tatari?
Sure. So with our marketing mix, as many of you probably are familiar with, Google and Meta being our biggest components. So really for us, we wanted to continue to grow our brand. We saw a lot of online sales, especially in 2020. We wanted to look for another performance-based but also scalable channel. So for us, we really wanted to explore TV. Not only is it a great way to build your brand and awareness, but it's a great way to drive acquisition, also encourage retention. And it's really an area that people can lend credibility. If you're on TV, it's very credible, your brand is legitimate, and it's a great place that we want to explore. I know, a little nervous, especially given how big TV is, but we were really excited to kind of explore that with Tatari and the fact that it was we could measure it like digital.
So today we are going to talk about the 4 key elements to a successful TV campaign, and then the most important, how you can achieve scale. So let's jump right into testing. Denise, can you tell us about what Knix was thinking about, what your concerns were, and what you were hoping to learn from your test on TV?
Sure. So as you can imagine, going on TV can be very scary and intimidating. You don't necessarily know what channels to go on, how much to invest, is it going to work for us? So obviously there was lots of trepidation. I think we were reassured by the fact that it was a test that we could do, but also measure and see the impact immediately, which was a key reason why we went the way that we did. But yeah, I think nervousness was probably the biggest component. But yeah, we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm sure many people feel the same way when jumping into TV. And I think there are 2 main misconceptions when thinking about TV advertising. First one being that you need these really high budgets to get started, and that's not really the case. And then the second one, of course, is the network mix that you're going to run on. The misconception being that you only want to target your specific demographic, or the most immediately obvious demographic for your brand. So the way this worked out for Knix, budget-wise, we established a budget that they were comfortable with, and one that we knew would allow them to get the learnings that they were looking for. And then in terms of the network mix, Knix as a brand is obviously very female-focused, so of course we were going to tap into that type of network, but we actually put 60% of their budget into some of these sort of non-obvious channels. We tested news, we tested crime TV, various types of entertainment to see where else their audience might be. And then we did a smaller test on streaming, and we tested a handful of publishers for that. So now that we know how the test was set up, Denise, can you tell us what you learned?
Sure. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions that, again, like Megan just touched upon, is that we had this obvious demo of networks that we thought would do amazing given the audience, given the content that was on there. I think what was surprising is those non-obvious genres, those the crime, the news, the entertainment, were the ones that actually resulted in a lower CPA than our target. So all of them performed really well, either at benchmark or below. But had we just stuck to our guts, I think we would have missed out on this opportunity to see areas that we test well in, and it was a really great eye-opening experience. And we continue to test as a very performance-based organization, and the way that we build TV is very test-oriented. So, don't just trust your gut, also be open to testing other opportunities, because you'd be surprised what people are watching at that time.
Yeah, for sure. So some of you might be wondering how we're actually able to measure these results. And Tatari, we close the loop with TV, just like your digital channels. This is usually a presentation in and of itself, so we will just give you the basics. But traditional TV has been measured by these panels that track behavior. So you've maybe heard of Nielsen. And then there have been some other audience measurement partners and companies that have attempted sort of a new currency for this audience measurement. And then, of course, there's your digital channels, the Googles, the Facebooks, etc., that use a closed loop methodology by placing a pixel onto your site and then collecting your user data. And so that's exactly what Tatari does. We place a pixel onto your site and we collect your user data, but that is not all we do. We have a bit of a secret sauce, and that is this ACR data. So we are actually the only TV ad platform to license this data from Vizio, LG, and Samba TV. So it's a lot of data. With the third-party data, we have 100% IP passback from all of the major streaming players. And then on linear, we have data from over 30 million smart TVs. So we use that third-party data in combination with our clients' first-party data to the tune of over 100 million daily mobile and web events. Plus our proprietary IP-level device graph that allows us to really offer a world-class measurement for TV that is based on outcomes and sales for your company. So building onto our initial learnings, we wanted to find new audiences. Denise, can you talk about how we, use those initial learnings?
Sure. So with TV, really, once you move from the testing phase, we knew we wanted to continue going on the channels. We saw great performance. So we wanted to kind of establish a base of networks that we saw consistent performance in. So you can see them all here. Some, actually, I think all of them we're still on today, 3 years later, which is great. But the thing to remember about TV, it's not this set it and forget it platform. Just like digital, there's tons of optimizations you can do, whether that's the channels, the networks, your creative, the day parts that you're in, the rotations that you're in. So it's not this static set it and forget it. So what performed 3 years ago may not be the same today. What performs next week also might not perform the week after. So it's always about continuing to look at the data, optimizing the data as your business changes, as consumers' taste changes, whether that's products that they're interested in or whether that's the networks they're watching. Like, who knew about Scandival was going to pop off? No one. But it's those things to be able to keep abreast of and to may really focus on to be able to make changes. So establishing a base helps us do that we can kind of plan forward, but also being open to testing and trying new things.
Yep. So to drive optimal outcomes within the network mix that Denise mentioned, we have machine learning to help automate this planning and optimizing. So it takes a look at our historical performance, and we have about 30,000 inventory options to look at within this platform, and it'll help optimize against rates, outcomes, and reach and frequency. But as Denise mentioned, we never want to keep things too stale. We want to always be testing. And one of the ways we can do that is through our similar inventory tool. So this tool, again, within our platform, helps us find similar inventory based on past performance across both streaming and linear. So that's what we did with Knix. We wanted to test a couple new things. And so we decided to test across a couple new networks and a couple new rotations. And rotation is the time frame that you're buying into on linear TV. So a morning rotation, evening rotation, primetime, etc. So MSNBC was one of our top performers, and we wanted to expand. So we tested into the primetime rotation, and we happened to land in the Rachel Maddow show. So at the time, this was a very big show, very high viewership, so we were really excited to see our spot land in this show. And let's see how it did for us.
So you can kind of imagine when you enter your dashboard and you see a large spike in visits that the immediate question is, what was that and what did it do? So what was really great, with Tatari's dashboard, you can go in, you can see exactly what happened. So that spike is literally within 5 minutes of our spot airing on Rachel Maddow's show. So huge amount of visits, and then also 30% of our benchmark, which is great. So not only was it effective at driving lots of visits, but we saw it really perform better than our typical benchmarks, which is fantastic. And it really kind of piqued our interest in looking at show specific kind of spots.
Yeah, we were super excited about this. So we kept buying into that rotation. We kept seeing these returns from the Rachel Maddow show. And so we followed this thread a little bit and found additional premium news spots for us to test into. So we tried CNN Go on streaming, and then a couple of other linear spots, CBS Evening News, The Today Show, etc. But again, going back to always wanting to test more and expand more, we wanted to sort of move away from the news cycle a little bit. We knew it worked for us, but what else could we find that would work for us, right? So we went back to our test performance, took a look at our network mix, and entertainment content was one of the ones that stood out to us. So we thought about how we could potentially buy into some of this entertainment content. One of the things about some of this inventory, program specific, it can be pretty costly. So we told Knix to be a little bit patient. We know we had this test idea in mind, but we asked them to wait a little while. And finally, our patience did pay off, and we were able to secure The Voice on NBC for an 80% discount. You may be wondering, how the heck did you get an 80% discount on The Voice? So this is what we call a fire sale. Going back to the fact that these are usually pretty costly, they're also usually bought well in advance by larger brands, right? But things happen, and sometimes these larger brands need to pull out, creating an open ad space. And when that happens, the networks will come to us and ask us to fill that space very quickly and at sometimes these insane discounts, 80% off, right? So let's see how it did for us.
Well, we love a good sale. So you can imagine with the huge amount of viewership with a show like The Voice, we got a lot of interest on our site immediately. So again, opening and seeing that was great. Really saw a great lift. So about 9,000 visits immediately within 5 minutes of airing, which is fantastic. Again, strong in terms of your CPV or cost per visit to our site. So really happy to see. But not only that, so it's great to get visits to your site, especially when you have lots of impressions. But what was great is that we also saw a really great CPA. So our CPA was 70% of what it normally is, which is fantastic. So we saw lots of interest and hope, and we were asking Tatari, like, what's next and when can we go on to another show?
Little did we know, it was kind of right around the corner. We got another opportunity, this time in America's Got Talent. We suspected it would do really well for Knix. And again, it was at an 80% discount. Who can pass that up? We did not. Let's take a look.
So again, shock and awe, we saw another big spike, which was great. So each show is going to have slightly different performance based on their audience. But again, really strong to see that we had a strong lift, a great CPV, and again, a really great CPA that's better than normal, which is always fantastic to see.
So we loved this. We loved logging into our platform and seeing these spikes. So we really were able to continue to uncover this premium content and buy into more of these types of opportunities. They weren't always fire sales, but you win some, you lose some. But we were able to find new audiences on linear. So we tested into The Bachelor, Grey's Anatomy, Survivor even, which again is maybe one of those ones that's a not obvious choice for Knix, but it worked great. And then we were also able to tap into this on streaming. So going back to our similar inventory tool, we took a look at streaming publishers that would align well with the type of content that worked well for us on linear, and we were able to purchase that on some pretty premium streaming publishers like Hulu and Peacock. Switching gears a little bit, let's talk about how creative was an important part of driving Knix's success on TV.
So I kind of briefly mentioned it, like before you start, there's like different levers that you can pull. Rotations and creative and channels is one of them. The other question is the second that you go on TV is, oh my God, we need a TV commercial. So as you can imagine, there's lots that you can do when you're having to take advantage of the full screen. You have a lot more attention. You have a story that you can tell both visually and with audio. So it's really, all the senses almost to be able to do something for TV and creative. So the other questions that we had is like, how can we test on Tatari's platform? How can we test? So typically when you test on TV with creative, it takes months and months to get information. You have to see, is there brand recall? Is it performing? Which one drove more action to the site? With Tatari, you're actually able to see that relatively immediately, so you can shorten that testing window and really take those learnings and quickly apply them. So one of the tests that we wanted to do is look at more of a high production creative, lots of sound, like we had a custom song, we had lots of cast, and then take something and then test it against more of like a DR, direct response, budget friendly creative. We're about to show you both spots, and then we can look at what performed well. Maybe you'll be surprised by the results. The first is the more expensive spot, and the second is our more budget friendly spot.
Yeah, before I show you the actual creatives, I also just want to call out, in terms of testing, you also don't need a lot of budget for creative testing. You know, you can get these results and make decisions with, 5 to 10K behind your creatives, which really isn't too much. So let's watch these creatives. This is the first one.
We leak proof, we leak proof. Give me all that blood, sweat, and pee. We leak proof, we leak proof. Whatever I do, it's on me. We leak proof, we leak proof.
And the second?
These underwear are pee-proof and period-proof and sweat-proof. They're leak-proof underwear from Knix. Comfy and confident protection that feel just like normal. With so many styles and colors to choose from, switching is easy at Knix.com.
Okay, so some of you are great fortune tellers. The second one did perform well. So what's great about being able to test is we can now look at that creative and then see which one did better. So when you look at the two spots, the response rate for the second spot, the more budget-friendly spot, was 2 times higher, which then helps lower your CPV, which is strong. Not only can we look at it from a response rate and a CPV rate, but we can look at it from a CPA rate, which is also a great way to kind of test and learn. And then we can also see, maybe that one spot is performing really well on X and Y stations, and then the other ones are performing on others. So you can also make adjustments according to your creative like that. What's also a great thing about having a TV spot that you can get learnings on is you can also start making tweaks. So we've taken that spot, we've made adjustments to it that we've done for TV, test it again, see if that works well for us. So again, those small changes, you don't think that they're going to make big differences, but they can in lowering your creative costs. But the other great thing is taking that creative and then applying those learnings to other channels. So we've taken that, we've put that onto Facebook, we've made a version that's static completely for direct mail. So being able to have this creative that we know does well on a very big channel gives us the opportunity to find different ways to explore using it for other channels as well.
Most importantly, let's talk about scale and how you were able to achieve that.
So I mentioned before, really when we went into TV was looking for another scalable opportunity. I think, as you can imagine, the more investment that you make, the more nerves that there are. So one of the ways that we kind of explored like a step into scaling was doing it through Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So just a small shopping window for people, but really it's an exciting time. The site's There's got tons of inventory. There's lots of sales out there. There's people that want to shop. So investing in a time that we know there's appetite for shopping was kind of our way into scaling. So what was great is in 2021, we had 40% higher conversion ads from TV. And then in 2022, it was 70%. So kind of made us feel rest assured that increasing our investment ahead of it and also during the sales time was a great way to kind of step into scale without being, too crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the biggest differences between digital and TV ads is inventory. Premium TV inventory across both streaming and linear is limited. And so when we're thinking about scaling up, one of the most important things we need to think about is market conditions, making sure we really have a handle on market conditions. So to explain a little bit what this graph is showing you, the way Tatari buys ads is by bidding on the ad placements on a week-to-week basis. And when we win those bids and we actually place those ads, we call that clearance. There are certain times of the year where clearance is a little bit more difficult with that buying methodology. And you may be able to guess that Q4, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, is definitely one of those time periods. And you can see why, right? There are a lot of advertisers that are wanting to get their name out there and really push their brand for their sales or, for their gifting products, that sort of thing. So we knew this time frame was going to be super important for Knix, but we also knew it was going to be super important for many other brands out there. So we did end up changing our strategy a little bit. and locked in inventory ahead of this time period. So we knew what had worked really well for us in the past. We knew what we wanted to be on to drive that scale and drive the volume Knix needed. But we also knew what inventory was going to be the most desired by other brands as well. So again, we were able to secure that placement and ensure that scale for Knix during this time. So Denise, turning it back to you, can you talk about how you used your learnings from Black Friday, Cyber Monday in other times of the year?
Yeah, so really we looked at our calendar kind of overall as a marketing team and kind of identified key periods that we were either going to have sales or different product launches or collaborations. So some of those are not necessarily unique to us. There are a time where retailers are all doing like your Memorial Day sales, your 4th of July, hint, hint, and then your different time periods where you have a product launch. So we're launching swim. We know there's going to be lots of action on the site. There's lots of inventory on the site. So we kind of use that Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale and aligned it to those investment periods where we know that there's stuff that people will be excited about and have a great way to kind of drive conversion. So kind of helping our investment scale with the safety of being able to know that we're going to have great conversion rates during those times.
But you have also been able to scale sort of outside of these timeframes and really have maintained that scale. So can you talk about what has given you the confidence to be able to do that on a month-to-month and year-to-year basis?
Absolutely. So something that we are really excited to see, and this is just one example of it. So this is our branded search volume. That is that line coming through. But really, when we invested more into TV, we saw the halo effect across other channels. So all those channels also started to perform better. So really, the first big investment into TV, you saw our branded search go up by 2.4 times. Then again, as we continue to kind of scale up year over year, as the better we did on TV, the more we're able to also invest. We felt really reassured by the fact that our branded search, our digital performances were going better. So we know that, like what is the saying? All tides rise with high tides rise all boats. So it was a really good way for us to kind of invest in an area that we knew it would be a safe way to do it and help other channels perform as well. And I think if you asked us in 2019, like where we'd be today, I don't think we would have said this. And I can't wait for the next 3 years and see what it brings.
Yeah, us too. So we are at the end of our presentation. Let's recap, sort of the 4 key elements to driving full funnel performance on TV. First one, testing at reasonable budgets. You don't need to have a lot of money, but you need to make sure you are making it count. 2, finding incremental audiences. Be relentless in your testing. Don't give up on it. Continue to find new opportunities. 3rd, A/B test creative. We can put you in the right places and the places you need to be, but your creative needs to make sure it speaks to your audience, to your customers, and to your prospects. And then last, TV's halo will improve your digital performance. TV is the ultimate brand builder, as you could see by Knix's, branded search results, right? And it can and should be an always-on channel. Thank you so much. If you are interested in seeing some of our other success stories, you can scan this QR code here or visit our Tatari site. Thanks so much.